Okay, so we all know that 8 gigabytes of RAM is always the recommended amount for gaming. But how much of a difference does it actually make if I actually had 4 gigabytes instead of 8 gigabytes? Now keep in mind these results may vary depending on what type of RAM you actually have. For this test I'm using 1600 MHz DDR3 RAM and I'm using 2 sticks of it, so I can remove 1 stick to get 4 gigabytes. Now keep in mind that means that I will not be testing dual channel, mainly because I do not have 2 sticks of 2 gigabytes. Hopefully it conveys my point. Now our first test is the Sony Vegas render test. What this involves is rendering a video in Sony Vegas and seeing how long it takes to render dependent on how much RAM you have. Alright, so our next test is game benchmarks. Let's see how having 4 gigabytes of RAM impacts your FPS. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest here, I was really not expecting some of those results. Like, some of them, wow. Some of them were just crazy. Alright, let's look at them one by one, and let's see what happened with them. Alright, Crysis 3. I mean, that one's understandable. That game's nearly 4 years old, so it's understandable that it doesn't utilize more than 4 gigabytes, otherwise I'll be getting considerably lower FPS. But nevertheless, people claim that that was a really hard game to run, so that was kind of surprising. Alright, so moving on. Ark. Okay, at first I couldn't boot up this game. It wouldn't let me, it just crashed. So I had to boot it in low memory mode, which, if you don't know, is 4 gigabytes, and it seemed to run better than when I had the 2 sticks of 4 gigabytes rather than the 1 stick, which I found very, very interesting indeed. I mean, I can understand that it'll be similar frame rates, but not higher. That's just odd. Alright, Doom. Doom was similar to it, but which is very interesting because the minimum requirements read 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I only had 4 when doing the second test, so I'm very interested that it still allowed me to play just fine and at the exact same frame rates. So I don't know what was going on there. CSGO. Oh my god, this game is understandable. This game is from 2012, and it's not very intensive to begin with, so I'm not surprised that my frame rates were very similar. And the same goes with Minecraft. Like, even though I allocated 8 gigabytes to the game, Minecraft only really utilizes 1 gigabyte of RAM. I don't even know why I tested Minecraft, to be honest. And finally, Fallout 4. Now this one, I was expecting a huge drop, because obviously the minimum requirements stated that you must have 8 gigabytes of RAM, and on the second test I only have 4. And I seem to be getting similar, if not higher at times. I mean, obviously there was a VSync cap, because Fallout 4 can be very buggy without VSync, apparently. I haven't tried it myself, but apparently it's extremely buggy without VSync. So yeah, I was really not expecting those results. That just goes to show you probably only need 4 gigabytes for gaming. But trust me, editing this video with only 4 gigabytes of RAM, oh my god, was that painful. Like, it was freezing up a lot. Like, by a lot, I mean a lot. So, I wouldn't recommend editing with 4 gigabytes of RAM whatsoever. Oh yeah, that moves me on to the render test. The render test was interesting as well. It only slowed down by 0.4 of a second. So I guess my editing software does not utilize more than 4 gigabytes when rendering a video, which I found very interesting. Now, all this may come down to the fact that my CPU has weak single-core performance, and therefore doesn't gather enough information to store in the RAM. I don't really know. That's just a theory. It's probably a very dumb theory, but it's a theory, alright? As previously mentioned, my results were very, very strange indeed. So if you have a desktop PC and can afford taking parts out, then I'd recommend doing the same test. See if you get similar results. Because you never know, with a different CPU, you may get completely different results from me, which I'm interested to find out. So if you do, please let me know in the comments down below, because my ones were almost too weird to be true. I forgot to mention that when putting the RAM back in, I had some major complications. Like, it was very worrying for me. I put back in the second stick of RAM and my PC just wouldn't turn on. So I took it back out, and then my PC started up again, so I decided to put it back in. It wouldn't boot up, but, well, it did boot up. Everything inside the PC was working like normal, but the displays weren't turning back on. So my 2 monitors weren't turning back on, neither of them. So I concluded that one of the RAM sticks was slightly more jutted out than the other, so I decided to push it in a little bit more, and then it worked. So I guess the RAM was sort of half out of its socket, so That was very weird, but my PC is working fine again, and yeah, I guess my miniature crisis is over. So if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like, and if you didn't like it, well, I guess you know what to do. Or if you have your own conclusions and you have some constructive feedback, do not be afraid to leave it in the comments down below. If you like what you see and you're brand new, please don't be afraid to subscribe, we don't bite. But anyway guys, this is Duo from How to Compute, and I will catch you all next time.